Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So today, I am reading Ignite by Melanie Harlow, and this is the 6th book in the Cloverleaf series. Have I read any of the other books in the Cloverleaf series? No. But, spoiler alert, probably each one of them ends with people getting together. Sorry to ruin that for you. But yeah, so this is the Sugar and Spice Book Club pick, and that's partly how I heard this recommendation. But I also feel like I saw a TikTok a million years ago. I would never, ever be able to find it again, probably, where someone was kind of like jokingly talking about the premise of this book, and I was like, I'm intrigued. So very quickly, the premise of this book is that we have it's a romance. It's contemporary. Our main male character is Dexter. He is a 34-year-old grumpy single dad firefighter dude. And he has just moved into a like townhouse or a condo where there is another townhouse or a condo like sharing one wall essentially. And Winifred lives next door. She is 22. Fun, quirky, hot. She seems really pleasant. She is an event planner at the Cloverleaf Farms, which her dad helps run? Question mark? I don't know, whatever. Yeah, there are sort of like instant sparks flying between the two of them, but Dex is like, yeah, I don't really do relationships. He has a failed marriage in his past, and he thinks of Winnie as too young to potentially pursue, even though he is very attracted to her. And Winnie is the kind of person who falls in love all the time, and she actually just within the last 6-ish months had a broken engagement, and she and her best friend kind of made a bet between the two of them that she couldn't make it all the way to Christmas without falling in love again. So Winnie has sworn off men, and it's that whole idea of winning the bet is becoming hard when this hot guy moves in next door, and other things get hard too. So yeah, so far it's perfectly fine. I'm not finding anything objectionable with the writing. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's doing what it's been promised to do. So yeah, so the kids are cute. Dex's daughters are adorable, and I did kind of wonder ahead of time if that was going, which way I was going to land on that, because I feel like I've read some romances where the kids were not fun to read or did not contribute to the book in a meaningful way and just kind of got annoying. Or vice versa. It was like a single parent and I was like, where are your kids? What does this person fitting into their life look like? And it's just not discussed at all. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so far I am liking the kids. The kids like Winnie, Winifred. So yeah, I feel like there's not a ton of plot yet, other than the two of them have this attraction and they have like a kiss, and then he immediately is like, whoa, that was a mistake, like I'm not even into you, and she's just like, cool. And at this point they have decided, I'm at like 35 to 40% of the way through, so I don't feel like it's much of a spoiler to say that they have decided to try a like neighbors with benefits situation. So obviously I think feelings are going to be involved. The only thing I will say is that I have not read too many age gap romances, and all of the ones I have read I have not super cared for. I had sort of hoped this might break that pattern, but for the most part it really hasn't yet. I understand that part of the sort of taboo element to this, of the titillation that comes along with the age gap element, is that both parties are always thinking, oh, they're too old for me, oh, they're too young for me, whatever. But like it really just kind of like starts to annoy me / almost ick me out if the older character is like, oh, this kid, this child, this like girl, like when they're really trying. Like this character Dex, at one point he describes her laugh as like this girlish giggle, which like I understand, like a grown adult can have a girlish giggle as their laugh. We can't control our laughs very much, but like he is so determined to see her as young. He calls her like barely more than a teenager, when he realizes or finds out that she was in kindergarten when he was like graduating high school, because there's a 12-year age gap between them, like he just is constantly thinking of her as like too young for him. But then also he's like, into her. So I don't know. I sort of wish there was a little bit more like acknowledgement. And I think that this book is to some extent going to great lengths to show multiple other demonstrations of relationships where there are age gaps. Maybe not fully, 12 years, but 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. We've seen those already. So I don't know. We shall see how that goes. I did reach the first sex scene and it was fine. It was told from Dex's point of view. I do like this book is told in, dual POV, but it was told in his perspective, and it just, if I felt kind of like removed from the scene. Like I felt like even though we were in Dex's head, it was, I don't know. It was perfectly fine. Did it like really, was it like super, super steamy? No. But was it poorly done? No. So I don't know. I felt like the lead up tension, their little like make out moment, and the tension that's been ratcheting up is quite steamy. So I will tune back in later when I have more to say about Ignite by Melanie Harlow. Hi. Okay, so I'm tuning in. I am at 66% of the way through Ignite by Melanie Harlow. And it's basically progressing exactly the way that I thought it would. There's, like, I was trying to explain this book, was explaining this book to my husband, Ben, and he was like, oh, okay, so, like, and my description was that it was good. It's solid. It's very 3.5. Like, there's nothing, like, amazing about it. Like, I don't think that it's, like, amazingly steamy. I don't think it's, like, amazingly insightful. Honestly, at this point, there's it's, like, pretty, like, low conflict. Like, it almost feels like these characters are not going to end up together because, like, he's so determined to not date, and so is she, and she's, like, considering this sort of change to her life, and that would basically make, like, a relationship impossible. So I don't know, it's just like, it's not exactly taking the route that I thought it was going to. Like, I thought it would be I honestly thought it would be a little more angsty. And obviously these two have been, like, essentially fighting feelings since the get-go because this is a romance, and because they both swore off of, like, oh, I would never want to date right now, and this is going to be just for fun, like, just benefits. Like, feelings have been sort of involved, like, from the get-go. And in my opinion, what's most interesting is that I feel like Dex has more feelings than Winnie does. I feel like Dex has more emotional intensity going on. Like, there's more things that he's kind of mulling over, or the, like, subplots that are going on with Dex seem to have more weight than the subplots that are going on with Winnie. So here I am at 66% of the book, and like I said, it's good, it's solid, it's trucking right along. I have no real complaints, but also it's not, like, so amazing, like, gonna, just, like, be my brand new fave, so just wanted to give you a quick update. I probably will tune in at the end unless there's some drama that happens that I have to tune in before the end, and I will come back with my final thoughts. Okay, so I finished the book Ignite by Melanie Harlow. And yeah, ultimately at the end, I feel like my feelings were pretty much the same as earlier. I felt like it was very, like, mid, like 3.5 stars, like solid, sure. Best I've ever read? No. Worst I've ever read? No. Felt like the, like, writing overall was, like, polished and decently edited. There was, like, foreshadowing and stuff, but I don't know. I felt like while I was reading it, I understood who the characters were, and I felt like their personalities were relatively strong. Were they the most unique ever? No, but, they were fine. I kind of liked that Dex was the one who had to do some, like, emotional learning and kind of, I don't want to say struggled the most, but kind of struggled a little bit more than Winnie with coming to terms with gaining feelings and what to do with them. But yet also at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, the guy is scared of being vulnerable and, putting himself out there, and, like, feelings are scary. Like, been there, done that. So yeah, overall, like, this was fine. It wasn't amazing. No. Like, did this make me really want to read more in the Cloverleaf Farms series? Like, I would read more from this author. I felt like I actually kind of liked the cast of side characters. It felt clear, like the author had ideas for and potential full personalities for a lot of the other characters. And I'm sure that a lot of the other characters have been in the other books, because this is book 6 or something, and I've not read any of the other titles. But it was also very clear that Winnie's best friend, Ellie, is going to have a book where it's sort of like rivals or enemies to lovers with that chef guy. But they had like fun, exciting banter. I will say there was some quick, witty repartee between our main love interest in this book as well, which I did enjoy. And at first, when I was finishing this, I felt like the short time frame of the story, which is I think about 6 weeks, or really kind of less because there's a little bit of a time jump in the middle, was a very fast falling in love period. But and I kind of wanted more emotional development, but also at the same time, I felt that we saw quite a number of interactions with the whole family unit, like Dex and his girls and Winnie, or like Winnie with the girls, and like Dex can like acknowledge that, and we see that. And then also there are a number of moments where both Winnie and Dex like open up to each other, so they have some, you know, relatively meaningful conversations as well. So, you know, yeah, like I said, like I would like, is this amazing? No, but I thought it was good, and I would say give it a try. I didn't feel like the age gap element was, I mean, it's not something that I super cared for, and that has not changed with this book. But also there are multiple other pairings that are mentioned in this book, including Winnie's parents, that have a big age gap, 10 years or even more. Like in this case, Winnie and Dex are 12 years apart. So the age gap element just didn't really feel like taboo. If that's like if that's an element that you're looking for, it was here, but it was very mild, and no one else. Basically, the only person who was really hung up on the age difference was Dex. And I felt like there were a couple moments where it was like starting to border on creepy, but I don't, that comes with the territory, in my opinion, of an age gap. Yeah. So, I would say the steamy elements for this book is kind of like the weirdest part, is just because there's good tension and banter, and there's good building like sexual tension early on, and then as soon as they start the like neighbors with benefits element, a lot of that tension kind of goes out the window. I felt like their first sexual encounter was actually kind of like gross. Like it was from his point of view. I think I might have said this before. It was from his point of view, and like she was saying like, "You're so big it hurts." And he doesn't stop. He's like, "Good, take it." And I was just like, cool. Like, that's what I want, is my partner to just be like, ow. So super sexy. But yeah. And then in the second half of the book, I think there's only like one on-page sex scene, partly because we have this big time jump, but then also because the sort of like third act conflict happens. I suppose I could change my angle there. The third act conflict happens like not that long after my last update, like I mean, I guess it's right around 70 to 75%, but I don't know. It just sort of felt like we skipped over a lot of the time when the two of them could have been having fun together, and we didn't get a chance to see a ton of that on page. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to stop rambling now. This is plenty long enough on one book, but yeah, check it out. And I can't wait for the Sugar and Spice Book Club discussion, which by the time I get this video up probably has already happened. But thanks so much for listening to me and all my thoughts on Ignite by Melanie Harlow, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.